Good morning, Blue Lulus. We've got another Rosa Parks on our hands. I need your help for spreading this word and all of this information. Let's get it. One of the brave Texas Democrats that fled the state to help protect the voices of millions of Texans is now being held captive inside of the Texas state capitol. Because upon their return, all of these Texas Democrats were told that in order for them to leave the Capitol building, they were going to be required to sign a permission slip that made it so that they could be followed around by police officers everywhere they went. And they're saying this is just to prevent them from pulling any further shenanigans. But you know, I think it's reasonable for her to say no and not to trust any of these people. We in the Black community have always had a very reasonable fear of trusting law enforcement, and trusting Governor Abbott's goons would be the last thing in the world I would do. He is dying to have a vacancy in that house. And so she said no. She was like, no, I'm not going to agree to let you follow me around everywhere. I see how you guys are moving. And as a result, they said, okay, fine, then you can't leave at all. And they have barricaded her inside of the state house. And they said that she's going to have to stay there for the rest of the session, which can go on for months. It's so frustrating. Of course, it's a Black woman that they do this to make an example out of. Like, it happens all the time, every single day. And I'm sick of seeing my own community trampled on by these horrible troglodytes who want nothing more than their own participation trophies and their own DEI initiatives, and just pretending like it's us that is trying to take things away from them. I'm up to here. The Frozen Water folks arrested a Maine police officer of Jamaican descent, and they said that he was somebody who wasn't supposed to be here anyways because he overstayed his visa and he didn't have a right to work. This is, of course, a lie, because police officers have to go through tons of paperwork, tons of background checks. He had been verified through the Maine's E-Verify system, and the Frozen Water folks still said, well, too bad. Not anymore. You don't get to work here anymore. And he was transported between two horrible detention facilities. And they said, if you want to get out of here, you have to go home. And so he is now having to pay his way back to Jamaica, where he is self-deporting back to his home. So much for taking care of all these horrible criminals who did things the wrong way. You're literally getting rid of cops during a time where they can't retain cops anyways. They can't find people that are willing to put their lives on the line for pennies on the dollar, and you're deporting them. It's exhausting. Today I watched a video from a creator called However Comma. I'll link his name down below, and he talked about all of these inventions from Black Americans that I had never heard of, and it made me cry. Like, it brought me to tears. Basically, everything you touch, everything you see, every single day is a result of Black excellence. Everything. And I had no idea. I had never heard of any of these amazing inventors, and it made me cry. Because it just shows how much our perception of ourselves has been impacted by their perception of us. They want us to believe that the only things that we're good for is making music, playing basketball, and getting into trouble, and it's objectively not true. Everything that you're standing on, every building that you go into has been graced with Black excellence, and they don't want you to believe that because they're only interested in their own version of DEI. And I shouldn't have made me cry, but it did. I'm still tearing up thinking about it. Go check out that video. Meanwhile, everybody's sitting in the Casablanca is the opposite of excellent. Today is E-Day, where we're supposed to start hearing about this little Black book in question. Yesterday, Bill Barr was interviewed regarding the investigation about why that person disappeared from this plane. It's getting so hard to talk about this in Go. And then supposedly the Justice Department is supposed to release all those documents this week. A red lawmaker was asked if he thought that they were actually going to comply with this subpoena, and he said, we're having really good discussions. So no. Okay, great. And of course, yesterday, a bunch of world leaders accompanied the leader from the land of cranes because he knew that he needed to roll deep this time. And the Joker sat up there chatting with them for a little while and then abruptly paused the meeting to go have a 40-minute phone conversation with his daddy over there in the cold country. It would be a lot easier for us to believe that you weren't one of them if you wouldn't do stuff like that. And of course, if the people investigating your connections with him didn't just magically appear no longer with us in their sleep at the age of 43 years old. I'm talking about the attorney from Virginia. Say her name. I can't, but you can. And during the televised portion of this meeting, the Joker said, I happen to notice that you haven't had any contests in your country, leader of the land of cranes. Is that because you're in conflict with other people? So you're saying that in the event that 3.5 years from now we're in a conflict, then we don't have to have any more contests? Now, don't get me wrong, I love Aaron Parnas. I think that that sweet little lamb deserves a Pulitzer Prize because of all of the ways that he's just been taking this information rapid fire to the dome for the last 9 months. But he came out and said, don't fall for this. It's just a distraction. This is just a joke. It's not a joke. It's never been a joke. I would believe it was a joke if he wasn't actively selling merch for Joker 2028. I would believe it was a joke if I thought that he had the intelligence required to actually make a joke. It wasn't. You should go watch the video. His wheels were turning. So you're saying that no, he's not joking. He's never joking. That's why he's called the Joker on my page. He's never joking. He's trying to desensitize everybody to his ridiculous ideas, and it works all the time. He has demonstrated time after time that he sees our multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar fleet of military vehicles is nothing more than a whole bunch of Tonka trucks to him. He's not kidding. You're kidding yourself if you think that he's kidding. That was a long one, so sorry. I hope you guys take care of yourselves today. I hope you drink some coffee. I hope you eat a yummy snack. And as always, keep your eyes up, keep your feet on the ground. Help me with engagement, please, from the bottom up. I'll see you next time. Ta-da.